Good morning, everybody. It's Claire Jones here from Your One Life Healthy Weight Solutions, and I am live here with you on Tuesday, the 9th of May 2023, and at the later than normal time of 11 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock, and on a Tuesday instead of a Monday for Monday Morning Matters, episode 41. Now, you may remember from last week that the theme for this month is all about overeating, and last week I basically shared with you some of the concerns around the problems with overeating, and the fact that 64% of the UK adult population in 2021 were either overweight or obese, and that the problem is continuing to get worse. Now today what I'm going to be talking to you about is, well, how do you know if you're overeating? And what even is overeating? Because it's not quite as easy as we might realise to know when we're overeating or not. Now, if you are watching live, it would be really lovely if you say hello in the comments, because what that does is it helps Facebook to know that I've gone live, and it then notifies other people that I've gone live, and it will start popping up in their news feeds, and they might want to join in as well. And obviously it is available on replay, so if you are watching on replay, again, if you want to say hello, that would be absolutely lovely. And obviously always like to hear some feedback as to whether it was useful or not, any questions you might have, because I want to be able to make sure that I'm sharing with you the things that you want to know. So I'm going to just dive straight in, because I've literally only got 10 minutes. So overeating then. Now, the problem with overeating, as I said earlier, is that it's very easy to do without realising it. Now, most people, when they think of overeating, might think, well, that just means like binging, or it means just piling your plates really high with loads of food. And yes, those two things do count. But really, it's just simply eating more than our bodies need. And of course, that number is going to be, or that amount of energy is going to be different for each of us. And obviously we do need to be concerned about the type of food, because we want to make sure that we're eating as healthily as possible. But ultimately the bottom line is that for most of us in the world that we live in, it does simply come down to the energy equation. It is how many calories we may be consuming, calories being the unit of measure to measure how much energy is in the food that we're consuming. And each of us has our own individual energy budget, so to speak. And what I would encourage you to do is think about this in the same way as you might think of a financial budget. And if you think, let's say you've got a £20 note, and you've got to make that £20 note last the whole day. How are you going to spend it? And if you go over that £20, if you're using, let's say you're using a contactless card rather than cash, it's very, very easy to go over that £20 by just using your card. And it's not until you kind of look at your bank statement that you might kind of appreciate just how much you've spent. It's the same principle here. So overeating is simply spending more than that £20. Okay, so just thinking of some simple sums, and I did mention this last week. So if you are an average person, bear in mind no one's average, and your numbers may be slightly different. Let's call the average person, because that's what the government guidelines say, 2,000 calories to maintain your weight. So that means that to maintain your current weight, you need to eat 2,000 calories a day. If you are very tall or very short, then your numbers are going to be slightly different. But do bear in mind that bigger bodies generally do need more energy. So if you are carrying significantly extra weight, then your calorie energy budget may be higher than someone who's not carrying extra weight. So just bear that in mind. Even though you may think you have a slow metabolism, that's a topic for another day, but just bear that in mind. Anyway, I digress. So you've got 2,000 calories. If you are eating more than 2,000 calories in a single day, you are overeating. Okay? So, and 2 bourbon biscuits, 120 calories is the equivalent of 2 bourbon biscuits. If you do that every single day, over and above the 2,000 calories that you need, you will put on a stone in a year. And you can see how easy it is to build up. So that's one way of overeating. Another way of overeating is obviously piling lots of food on our plates and eating more than we need, eating to fullness or beyond. That is another form of overeating. And obviously binging can also fall into that category. And another thing is just simply snacking when we're not hungry. we can easily mindlessly snack through a huge amount of calories if we're not careful. Again, think about going shopping with your contactless card, and think about how much money could you spend if you weren't looking at the prices. It's the same kind of principle. So that is the key thing to remember, is that it can be a very, very gradual thing. You may not even realise you're doing it. And especially if you're eating snacks and you think that your meals are very healthy. So you might think, well, yeah, I eat really well at meal times. But what are you doing the rest of the time? And are you drinking calories? Are you drinking calories that you don't need? So it's all of those sorts of things. They all add up. So how do you know? How do you know if you're overeating? Now, calorie counting has a bit of a unhelpful reputation sometimes, but in my view, even if you don't do it very, very often or for very long, it's a hugely educational experience, as long as you are being accurate about what you are recording. So if you are basically reviewing everything that you're eating each day, and you are actually looking at how much do those things cost, in other words, thinking back to the analogy around the prices, how much do those things cost and how much do they all add up to? And if you are continually going over that, then you know that you're overeating. And how do you know if you're actually overeating for yourself? Well, is your weight going up? If your weight is going up, then you know that you're eating more than you need. And I'm not talking about your weight going up on a single day. It's a trend over time. We're not interested in single numbers here. What we're interested in is the trend over time. So if your weight is going up over time, you know that you're eating more than you need. Now, obviously, some people don't want to get on the scales, and I completely understand that. That is something I help people to tackle when they work with me. But there are many different ways of measuring, what's happening with your weight. And obviously, another obvious one is, are your clothes fitting? If your clothes are no longer fitting, then again, you know that you're eating more than you need. And then it's, well, what do we need to do about it? And that's obviously a topic for next week. But the key thing is awareness. Okay, if we are not aware of what we're doing, either what's going in or the results of it, it's very, very easy for things to get out of control very quickly. And just thinking about, the daily amount. So 2,000 calories, as I say, for the average person. If you're eating 120 calories a day, more than that, you'll put a stone on in a year. Now, you might think, well, actually, I'm not eating 120 calories more each day. No, but what are you doing at the weekend? 840 calories is 7 times 120. Okay, so if you are having your normal amount of food during the week, and then at the weekend you are having 2 takeaways and a restaurant meal out, for example, or you're going out and going to a coffee shop, or whatever you might be doing, if all of those things that you're doing add up to more than 840 calories, and the rest of your diet is at that base level of 2,000, and you're having 840 calories more, that is where the extra weight is coming from. And again, what do we do about that? That's something I'm going to talk about next week. But these are the things that we need to be mindful of. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't ever go out to eat. But as I said last week, the problem is the society that we live in now. These things have become the norm, where in previous decades gone by, they would have been, very rare treats. Whereas now, food is constantly available. And, it's so easy to just go on your app and get Just Eat or Deliveroo or Uber Eats to deliver you whatever you want. And of course, they're always supersizing the portions, and they're encouraging you to do the add-ons. And so, of course, it turns up. Are you going to just get rid of it when it turns up? Of course you're not. You're going to end up eating it. And, and then just keep repeating that. And all of the time that we're doing those things, and because, we are in a cost of living crisis, and, it can sometimes seem quite attractive to go for the meal deals and all of that sort of thing. But if that's actually costing us more in terms of our health and well-being, is it really a saving? And this is something that we need to think about. One of the things, I will elaborate on this a bit more next week, but a false economy can sometimes be, if we're thinking of we're going for the takeaways because it's convenient and we're tired and we haven't got time to cook and all of those sorts of things, and this is really cheap. If you are saying to yourself, I can't afford healthy convenience because it's too expensive, but then you end up spending 3 times as much of that on a takeaway, you ended up spending more money in the first place in the end. So why not think about how you can eat in healthy, convenient ways, rather than then ending up forcing yourself to end up getting the takeaway because you are tired and hungry and stressed and haven't got the time or the energy to cook. So it's about weighing up all of these different things. I'll talk about that a bit more next week, but what I kind of mean by that is things like, you know, pre-packaged salads, pre-chopped vegetables. Those are things that can be a real time saver, and actually in the long run a money saver, if it means that we're not then spending 3 times as much on getting the takeaway. So just a few little things for you to think about there. So as a result of this, what I would like you to think about is just, do you think you overeat? And if so, in what ways? Because in order to resolve this, we need to start becoming aware of where the extras are creeping in. Now, if you are taking part in the monthly challenge, I hope you are. And if you're not, and you struggle with overeating, I would say, why not? Why are you not joining in? Yes, everyone who completes 25 days will go into the prize draw as long as they put their sheet in at the end of the month. But even if you're not interested in the prize draw, just join in anyway, because the activities are there to help you to get on top of the habits that you might have developed that are holding you back from what you want. And if you can get on top of changing the way that you eat, the weight will follow. Okay, as long as you're getting the right amount of calories in. So I will talk a bit more next week about all the different things that you can do, practical things that you can do. But I want you to just be thinking today about what are the different ways that you currently overeat, and how you might be able to measure whether you are eating too much or not. And then once you've got that awareness, then we can start to look at what you can do about it. And what I would say is that, you know, the key thing for all of us is to reduce the role that food plays in our lives. At the moment, those of us who overeat, it takes up way too much space, it takes up way too much energy than is healthy for us, and we need to learn how to manage that. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that's helpful, and I will see you next Monday, the 15th, at 9 o'clock, back to the new normal time and day for episode 42, which is the third episode for May, and this will be practical things that you can do to help to stop overeating. And I will see you then. But please do let me know if you have any questions. Please do feel free to add any comments. Let me know if this was useful, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.